Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai. All praise unto Yahweh Shemi Yahushai Waharak HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone. And honors you brothers that have been pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay, I'm back out here again for the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shemi Yahushai to go into these scriptures and to these prophecies and to the word of Yahweh Shemi Yahushai, basically to the intent that the elect may be sealed. And that's the instructions that was given unto the men of the Lord to go out here and teach the word as it is according to the scriptures, not according to people's opinions. And when you go into the scriptures, you find out that pretty much the Most High is not a respecter of persons, okay, he ain't a respecter of opinions. And as what the scripture says, if that's what's going to be done. In fact, when you go into the book of Isaiah, the 54th chapter, you find out, I think it's in the 54th chapter, you find out the Lord put out a certain vibration, and that's how the vibration was going to go out. He wasn't going to have it to where people was going to be offended at it, but rather how that the Most High was going to have it to where his word was going to go out there, and he wasn't going to return unto him void. He was going to accomplish that where it pleases the Most High that it was going to accomplish. Okay, and that's some of the stuff I was going to go into today, and how that you got it to where America, that's basically the hub of idolatry. I was going to go into that. And another topic I was going to go into was the fact that when America goes down, all the other nations that are standing now, they're going to go down with it too. Okay, so I'll start off within the book of Isaiah, the 55th chapter, and this is dealing with the word of Yahweh Shemi Yahushai and how it doesn't return unto the Lord void, but rather it's going to accomplish that which pleases the Most High. Okay, so this is Isaiah 55:11, and it says, "So shall my word go, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, and it shall not return unto me void." So the Most High put it within the scriptures that the 12 tribes of Israel was going to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and that's what happened. He put it within the scriptures that pretty much Esau was going to rise up in the latter times, in the end times, according to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse, and how that he was going to rule in the latter times. And after the last days, okay, rather more in the last days, he was going to raise up his elect, and the elect, once they were sealed, he was going to destroy the kingdom of Esau. In fact, I could go to that in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse. This is 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, all right? 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse. Bear with me. Okay, so this is the book of 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. It says, and then answered I and said, what shall be the part in his under of the times, and when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? So that was the man Ezra asking, okay, pretty much when the end was gonna be. Okay, so when was the end gonna be? Well, it was gonna be the times. It was gonna be during the times that's gonna be written out here within the scriptures. Okay, and that goes hand in hand with the scripture I was reading first, that the Most High was going to send his word out there and it wasn't going to return void. So you could have a nation that was going to try to rise up against this existing kingdom, this existing society, if you will, but that wasn't going to happen because it was prophesied that the Lord was going to put Esau in charge of the world. Okay, the scripture says within the book of Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Okay, and pretty much it covereth the faces of the judges thereof. This is the times we're living in right now. But you wasn't going to have it to where China was going to rule for a certain amount of time after the Americans did. You wasn't going to have it to where the Russians was going to rule for a certain amount of time. Rather, you was going to have Esau rule for the time period that we're in right now. And after that, you was going to have Jacob rule, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So it says, and what shall be the part in his under of the time, and when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abram unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. And that goes into the book of Genesis. When you had it to where Jacob and Esau were born, what was the story? The story was that it was two nations, two manner of people that was in Rebecca's womb, if I remember the story correctly. You had it to where you had two nations, two manner of people that was in Rebecca's womb, and those nations were fighting and battling up against each other. And then when the children were born, which was like what you know as foreshadowing. When you write a movie, or when you're writing a good script, what you can have within the script of the book or whatever you're writing, is you can have what's known as foreshadowing. So events that foreshadow what's going to happen within the future. Okay, easy. Okay, you're going to have certain things that you can use, okay, to indicate what was going to happen within the future. Now, one of the things that the Most High used to indicate what was going to happen within the future was the birth of Jacob and Esau. Now, the birth of Jacob, the children that never having done no good or evil, which is spoken about within the book of Romans, the 9th chapter, and the 10th verse. Not only this, but Rebekah also conceived even by one our fathers, Isaac, for the children not being yet born, neither having done good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand. It was told unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. So you got it to where right now the elder is not serving the younger, but rather the elder is ruling the world right now. But this is according to the Most High's election and in the dispensation of time. So then he's going to have it to where the script is going to be flipped, because you got Esau, who is the elder right now, ruling. But that's just because that the Most High gave him a certain amount of time that he was going to rule. The scripture says that the Most High set up the bounds that he cannot pass. It also says it was also given unto Esau within the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, as a blessing from Isaac, which when you go into the thing of reincarnation, you find out that Isaac was Yahushai. So Yahushai gave it unto him, and he said there was going to come a time when you was going to have the fatness of the earth, which when you check it out, that's the same blessing that Jacob had. But it also says that he was going to rule the world by the sword. And when you go into the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter, it says that what? Revelations 13 and 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So as the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans were led into captivity, well, the scripture says the people that led them into captivity, they was going to go into captivity. And when you check out the balance, okay, hey, what's up? Okay, when you check out the balance of how the Most High set the whole thing up, he pretty much set it up to where what? That a man was going to reap that which he sowed. So if you got a nation reaping and sowing death, that's what they was going to heap up. If you had a nation that was going to rule, and they was going to rule by the sword, then they was going to die by the sword. And it's going to go into it. Revelations 13 and 9, it says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword. So you got it to where they kill with the ICBM nuclear missile. They kill with the gun, or the Gatling gun. That was a major change and a shift to Esau being in total control of the world. When they came out with the thing of the Gatling gun and all the different machine guns that they have, which is the perfection of the sword and therefore the perfection of killing, that's what they came up with. That's their invention. And when you can check out their blessing, that was part of their blessing. Their blessing was that what? They was going to bring forth instruments, okay, of death. That's what they do. Okay, you check out NATO, you check out America, what do? They push forth the death of other nations, or the subjugation of these other nations. So you have Afghanistan, Iraq. Those were recent events. They just tried a thing out there within Syria, but through the backing of the other Edomite household, which is the Russians, they couldn't go out there and further their agenda like they used to. But the fact of the matter is that their blessing is the sword, and they was going to rule by the sword. But by ruling by the sword, they was also going to be killed by the sword. Going into the book of 1 Thessalonians 2 and 6, where the scripture says that be not deceived, whatsoever a man was going to sow, that also was he going to reap. Okay, so the book of Revelations 13 and 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So when you see the saints dying all the day long, and they're going away from us, it's taken as if it was nothing. The fact of the matter is, the saints are going to be risen up again in the last days, and in those last days, the Most High was going to fashion them into a new threshing instrument to fulfill what is written within the scriptures, that Esau was going to be killed by the sword himself, the spiritual sword. Now he's getting cut by the word right now. When you go into the book of Hebrews 4 and 12, it says the word of the Lord is quick and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to dividing as under as the soul and the spirit. Well, that's what's happening right now. You get it to where the word of the Most High is going out there, and he knows that the word or the Most High ain't going to return unto him void. Okay, ain't going to return unto the power of void. It was going to accomplish that which it pleases the Most High. So they done their wickedness, but the prophets of the Lord are out here cursing them out, and they're getting spiritually cut by that, but they're going to get physically cut when the Most High brings the judgment upon them. Returning back onto the point, in the book of 2 Ezra, the 6th chapter on the 9th, and the 7th verse, 8th verse rather, it says, and he said unto me, from Abram unto Isaac unto Jacob, Esau were born of him. Jacob's hand held the first, the heel of Esau. So when Esau was born, Jacob was holding the heel of him. All right. And it says, and that goes back onto the what was said unto the woman within the garden, or within the so-called garden, where it was said unto her, okay, thou shalt bruise between the serpent and the woman. Okay, the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman, and that wasn't a real serpent. You got a lot of people out there, they open up the scriptures and they believe, oh, it's an actual serpent that actually lived, and it was talking to a woman. When have you seen a black woman speaking to a serpent? Okay, I ain't seen it with my own eyes. No, I'm sure there's bugged out these so-called Negro, Hispanic, and Native American women are. They'll actually do that. But what I'm trying to allude to right here is that serpent, well, that was a seed of a particular nation, which is known as the nation of the wicked, which you know as the Edom, which we know through the scriptures as the Edomites. Okay, these are the nations, these are the people that rule the world right now. This is what we're getting into. And we're getting into the times where the Most High was going to take him out of that power seat and put the rightful rulers, okay, within that particular seat. Okay, so going back onto the scriptures here, it says, and Esau, it says, and it was said unto her, from Abram unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Okay, going into the book of Genesis, I believe it's in the 3rd chapter on the 16th verse, and it goes into thou shalt bruise, the children of the woman was going to bruise the head of the serpent, and the serpent was going to bruise what? The heel. And that's going into what? How that you was going to transition from one kingdom, which was going to be ruled by the Edomites, into the righteous kingdom that the Most High is going to establish, which was going to be ruled by the Israelites. All right, so it says, for Esau is the end of the world. So you got a lot of people out there, they're talking about this is the end of the end times, the end of the world. Okay, you had the thing of the World War III prophecy, that's within the scriptures. Okay, how you was going to have the first war, the second war, and the third war. And then after the third war, you was going to have the transition between what? Between the kingdoms. Well, when we are talking about the end of the world, you're talking about the transition between one rulership into another rulership. Okay, when you look around you, you're seeing all kind of wickedness. That's within the book of Amos, the 9th chapter. The scripture says that the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom. This is the sinful kingdom. How do we know it's the sinful kingdom? Simple mathematical extrapolation. Okay, there's a thing within maths that's known as, or within science that's known as extrapolation. Basically working the equation backwards. All right, so you got a particular equation that the Most High put out there within the ether, if you will, that says the wages of sin is death. And you seeing death all around you, that means you're in a sinful society. Let's do that all over again. Okay, you go into the scriptures and the scripture says that the wages of sin is death. By simple extrapolation, you find out that we're in the sinful society. Because why? Because there's a lot of death. That's why you got cancer going out there and it's at an all-time high. That's where you got people with all kind of diseases, because the wages of sin, the wages of iniquity is death. That's some of the stuff that I'm going to go into today, dealing with the idolatry that goes on, and that's perpetuated by who? That's perpetuated by America. America is the one that spearheads the idolatry. All right, but going back onto this sort of intro topic, it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, and the hand of so that's it. So it says, and the hand of man is betwixt the heel. That's going back onto the book of Genesis, and it says, and the hand. Sorry, I'll read again. It says, and the hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Okay, so pretty much it's going back onto what it was saying within the book of Genesis, and it was dealing with how, the transition between Esau and Jacob. In fact, I want to hit one more precept within the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, dealing with how the Most High was going to have this thing pop through, and it ties in hand in hand with this precept. So the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, okay, Daniel, the 2nd chapter, on the 44th verse. And it goes into the it says, in the days of these kings shall the Most High set up a kingdom of heaven, which shall never be destroyed. So when the Most High sets the kingdom of heaven, it's not going to be destroyed. What's the fundamental reason for that? Okay, because any other kingdom that's existed, okay, and when we're talking about kingdoms, we're living in the kingdom right now. This is the kingdom of England. All right, this is the kingdom of Babylon. All right, because Babylon's the one that's running everything that's happening here. Okay, so now you got it to where what? You got it to where if Babylon is wicked, well, how was the people going to be? The people are always going to be wicked as well. All right. Right, the scripture says, as the king is, so was going to be the people. So if you got it to where the king, DJ Trump, he's wicked. And we know he's wicked because he be eating swine. Okay, he'll be pushing idolatry, Christmas, Easter. That makes it to where he's wicked. Okay, never mind the fact that he's got it to where he's got a plans, okay, to put all kind of heavy grievances upon the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, all right? He got it to where he's doing all of the stuff that's known as common within this society, which is the Christmas, the Easter. But when you go into all of those things, that's known as that's a thing, that's an offense, that's a biblical offense known within the scriptures as idolatry. All right, but never mind that. These people allow that to continue, and as the people are, all right, rather more as the king is, so are the people. All right, so it says there, Daniel 2:44, and says, "In the days of these kings shall the Most High set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed." Why? Because when we get set up, we ain't gonna be set up like these kings are, like mortals. We was gonna be set up as gods, knowing the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High, and having that embedded within our minds. That goes into the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter, on the 8th verse. This is known. This is what's known as the second covenant. This is where the Most High was going to reestablish the initial covenant, but he was going to make it more perfect in that he was going to make the creature which was made subject unto vanity perfect, in that he was going to make that creature with a heart of flesh. When you had it to where Moses was writing the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High on the stone, that was symbolic of the stony hearts of the 12 tribes of Israel. But now the scripture says, that's within the book of Ezekiel, the Most High said he was going to write those on the heart of flesh, all right, which is our minds. And this was going to be a time where we was going to be doing right all the time, and therefore there was no reason for the Most High to take us out of the position of rulership. And that's how it was always intended. That's how it was all set up from the foundations of the earth. But we had to go through that whole story so that you was going to know what? You was going to know how to judge these different people. You was going to know, you was going to have a 360-degree understanding of quote-unquote wickedness, but now you're perfected with the righteousness. You can have what? Balanced judgment. All right, now let's go into the topic. I'll start within the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. And this is 50th chapter. This is the 51st chapter. And I can start from the top. And this is dealing with the fact that pretty much, I can't remember how I titled this particular section. I'll have to get the notes out. But this is for all intents and purposes, this is dealing with the fact that you got America being the central point or the central focus when it comes to not so much focus, but the main influence, all right, to these nations, and that's where they get all their ideas from. All right. So let me get the exact wording of how I titled it. Okay, so this segment, I'm gonna call it America, all right, is number one in idol worship, and because they're number one in idol worship, and they're the main country, like when you watch a movie, you know, it's most likely it's gonna be made out there within the United States. Now you're seeing a shift more recently, because you're seeing these nations, they're getting their game together, so to speak, and that calls to mind the scripture where it talks about how Allah become as weak as we, and I believe that's within the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. But going back onto the point I was making, you got it to where all of these nations' influences, they get their influences from the American market. So when they're dealing with Christmas, when they're dealing with Easter, when they're dealing with what's known as idolatry, they get that vibration from the United States, and the scripture speaks about that. All right, so let's start within the book of Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. And it says, "And thus saith the Lord, raise up against Babylon, and against that dwell." Let me read again. "Arise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in them, against me a destroying wind." And when you go into that destroying wind, that's dealing with the ICBM nuclear missiles that the Most High was going to unleash onto that place. Because when you're dealing with what's known as weaponry, the sword, okay, when you're dealing with judgment, that was all prophesied from the foundations of the earth. The Lord had it to where he wrote about the ICBM nuclear missiles, the lake of fire that was going to be out there within America. That's within the Bible. He wrote about how the Most High was going to put the spirit between, Most High was going to give a particular spirit unto them scientists to bring forth that instrument of his work. That's within the book of Isaiah, the 54th chapter and the 16th verse. "Behold, I've created the smith." He created Esau. All right, when you go to where people believe in that, the Lord doesn't kill. The Most High created the greatest killing instrument in that he was the Esau. Okay, he was the man that was going to take peace away from the earth. In fact, when you go into the book of Revelations, the book of Revelation says that the Most High created, he put the red man, he put a man upon a red horse, and unto him was power given to take peace away from the earth. This is the man that rules the world right now. Okay, this is the man that is in control of all everything that right now, and that's why you go to where people are getting sick left, right, and center, because he is the man that was going to take peace from the earth. Whether it be you eating particular foods and they lower your vibration, or they put you in a bugged out state of mind. This is the man. This is the person that put that. He's the man that had that. Put that particular vibration out there. They put that put the decree out there, signed the paperwork, and killed you. All right. And whether it be a strategic strike, whether you be what's known as collateral damage, because you got a lot of so-called white people out here that's gonna die by the hands of their own people, because they're gonna be what's known as collateral damage. That's how you know this man is wicked, because he'll go as far as killing his own people just to make it look like he's not actually killing people. When you're going into the barium oxide that they put out there into the air to destroy the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and you go to where their own people breathe that in. Okay, that's what's known as collateral damage. But going back onto the point I was making, the Most High created this man, and he gave him the devices of wickedness that he brings forth. And what we're going to see within the scriptures, in this particular one, within the book of Isaiah, the 54th chapter, is that although the Most High gave him the spirit to come out with an ICBM nuclear missile, with the different sound weapons that they go out there, the different infrared weapons that they go out there, they got things out there, they got particular weapons out there within space. They can shoot you. You don't even know where it was coming, man. Okay, they could stop you dead within your tracks, and you didn't even know how that happened, man. They got certain scientific knowledges about chemicals that they could kill you and wipe you off the face of the earth, okay, without leaving a trace. This is how this man rolls. But the scripture says that any weapon that was formed against Jacob wasn't going to prosper, because the main enemy to this thing is Jacob. Because who's Jacob linked with? He's linked onto the Most High. And what's the Most High about? He's about establishing a righteous kingdom. So if you got a wicked kingdom out here, and the wicked people are ruling, and you go to where the righteous people are rising up, and their book is the scriptures, and the scripture speaks against this kingdom, well, guess what? You was going to be deemed as a negative thing within this society. All right? Terrorists. That's what they was going to bring out. All right? So this is and I made a video about that.